Humans can host a variety of parasitic worms, and here's how to spot the signs. Dan Bogart from The Conversation reports, the comedian Shappi Khorsandi once commented that she used the mythical concept of sugar worms to get her children to brush their teeth after sweets. It's a trick I poached to convince my daughter to do the same. Since she's grown wise to this, but now luckily manages to navigate her own way around her toothbrush twice a day without resistance, real worms have now replaced fictitious worms as a point of discussion in many other households with young children. Every 2 weeks, nurseries and schools inform parents of yet another occurrence of threadworm. It's not surprising that these wriggly beasts keep rearing their heads, considering how easily transmissible they are. The threadworm? Threadworm's infestation is a common minor ailment, particularly in kids. The worm species that causes this Enterobius vermicularis goes by many other names, including pinworm. It's because it really is as thin as and pointy as a pin and silvery white in appearance. It's also sometimes known as seat worm, possibly because the body parts it most commonly affects are those which you sit on. The circle of life of the threadworm is simple. Their larvae come from ingesting eggs that then hatch in the small intestine. They typically form a colony within the first part of the large intestine, the cecum, but their most noticeable effect appears to be on the back passage, since the female worm migrates there usually at nighttime to lay their eggs. This results in the common symptoms of very itchy bottom, especially at night. The itching naturally makes the sufferer scratch, installing the newly laid eggs under their fingernails and allowing them to spread to other hosts through contact. It can affect anyone, both adults and children. It's possible to spot threadworms in the stool after a bowel movement. They can make themselves known in several other ways, including nighttime irritability and bedwetting. Because the worms prefer living in the intestine, in rare conditions they may cause abdominal pain and mimic appendicitis. In fact, in some cases the appendix is removed and found to be chock full of wriggling worms. The condition is usually mild and can be treated at home. Mebendazole, an oral anti-worm medication, can be bought over the counter at most pharmacies and is normally effective. It's recommended to treat everyone in the household over the age of 2 in case that they have already spread, remembering that sometimes there is no symptoms to be noted at all. But it's important to speak to a doctor for children younger than 2 years old and pregnant or breastfeeding women with threadworm, as medication may not be suitable. Hygiene measures are important to help clear the infection and prevent the spread, especially in those who cannot take medication. This involves scrupulous washing of hands, laundry, and avoiding scratching the affected area. It's a good idea to trim fingernails too to prevent the eggs from getting caught under the nails. Hookworm. Threadworms are not the only worms, the helminths, that invade humans. Hookworms, for example, affect about 470 million people worldwide. Infections in the UK are rarer since hookworms favor a warmer climate. Like threadworm, they also tend to take up residence in the small intestine, though they can also get there in a much more complicated way. The larvae of the hookworm are able to pass through the skin and travel to the lungs in the bloodstream. Once there, they journey upward to the throat where they can then be swallowed down. Since the respiratory tract and gut are the favorable places for these worms to bunk down, the symptoms of a hookworm infection tend to be associated with them, such as coughing and wheezing. Inflammation in the small intestine triggered by the infestation can generate abdominal pain and diarrhea. It can also hamper the absorption of proteins and iron from the gut, causing anemia. A characteristic rash might be noted in the stage where the larvae start to burrow through the skin, looking a bit like a snake writhing through it. In the medical profession, we call this cutaneous larva migrans. Like threadworm, hookworm can also be treated with oral medications. Then we have the filaria. Worms don't invade the gut or lungs, but some of them work their way into other regions of the body. Take lymphatic filariasis, a condition that arises when certain worms of the Filariidae order infiltrate the lymphatic system. The lymph vessels act as drainage pipes, removing excess fluid from the tissue and returning it to the bloodstream. When the worms invade and inflame the lymphatic system, the result is lymphedema, the accumulation of fluid in the extremities like the legs, which causes swelling and discomfort. In extreme cases, the swelling can be profound, resulting in a condition known as elephantiasis, and this is because the worm infestation caused not just swelling, but also skin changes, making it thicker and tougher, and taking on the appearance of elephant skin. And these are just a few of the Helminth conditions that can affect humans. Other examples include tapeworms and whipworms, which are also intestinal. Ringworm is a misnomer, though, and not a worm at all. It's actually caused by a fungal infection. And this is from the conversation by Dan Bongard, Senior Lecturer, School of Physiology, Pharmacology and Neuroscience at University of Bristol on Science Alert. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.